What's up, Criticalbench? Good morning. Happy Monday. Today we're going to go over a roughly 10-minute stretch. Lots of focus on legs, glutes, hamstrings. We're going to be everything on the ground. So this would be a great way to start your day like you guys are doing today. You can save this video. Great way to end your day too, maybe before you go to bed. So we're going to get right into it. I'm Coach Brady, joined by Coach Tash and Coach Lindsey. We're going to start in cat-cow. So you go ahead, start on all fours. You want to make sure knees are right underneath your hips, hands are right underneath your shoulders. You're looking forward and really trying to drop the belly, right? Arch the spine, and then you look down and try to round your spine. This is a good one to really get a feel for, right? If you feel a little more restricted in one versus the other, you can always hold it a little bit longer. And then I like to really let the breathing do the transitioning. So you hold for an inhale, you transition on an exhale. Again, you hold for an inhale, transition for an exhale. Typically roughly 20, 30 seconds, but again, stretching for me is all about a feel, right? If you feel like you're not really getting anything out of it, you're just wasting your time, right? So making sure that you're feeling a stretch as you're working your way through it. So again, roughly 20, 30 seconds. We're gonna go ahead and move on to a forward fold, or like a hamstring stretch, but instead of being standing, we're gonna be on the ground. So legs are straight, toes are pointed up, chest up tall, kind of two different options. You could go just from the hips to get more hamstrings, or you can round forward to get a little bit of low back, a little bit of the top of the glute. So we're gonna do both. We're gonna start chest up tall, trying to just hinge, right? So for me, this reminds me of that like middle school flexibility test. If you guys did that, the presidential fitness test where you had to push that little ruler in between your feet. If you didn't do that, maybe you're too young for me, but anyways. And then you can allow yourself to round forward, get a little bit more low back, a little bit more on the top of the glute. If you can reach your toes, you can pull them up towards you to get a little bit of calf too. So same thing, roughly 20, 30 seconds. But again, it's all about getting something out of it, right? So if you don't feel the stretch, you try to get deeper. If you feel the stretch already here, then you just hold it there. Roughly 20, 30 seconds. Breathing into it, stretching out those hamstrings. All right, moving on to butterfly stretch. So heels come in towards your hips, driving your knees towards the ground. I like to really try to reach for the ends of the toes, right? And then you're driving your knees towards the ground, trying to, again, think about your posture at the same time. Chest is up tall. You're not rounding too much forward. That does kind of add a little bit to the adductor, so we can do that later. But you want to start with good posture, a couple good deep breaths. Again, stretching, great way to start the day. I typically, even like before I leave the bedroom, will hit 2 or 3 stretches just off the edge of my bed or something like that. But good way to kind of get the blood flowing a little bit. Great way to start your day mentally too. So for me, while I'm stretching, I'm setting affirmations for the day, setting maybe some goals, thinking to something maybe you're gonna try to achieve that day. All right, next one is a lizard lunge, or what you might heard of as world's perfect stretch. So foot is flat, you're lunging forward, right? We're gonna start left side. This is obviously a single-sided. You can stay here to start. If you feel a little restricted, you can drop down to your hands. You could have some sort of block, right? Or something to raise you up if you're not there yet. Or if you're there and you're past it, you could try to even drop or bend your elbows a little bit, drop those elbows towards the ground, maybe getting them all the way to the ground, like Lindsey, maybe a little tight like me and Tash over here, so that's okay. Again, roughly 20, 30 seconds, same thing, right? Getting something out of it. You're breathing into that hip, trying to relax as much as you can. All right, and then switching sides. So same thing, right? So for me, you don't be surprised if one side's a little tighter than the other, right? So if maybe on the other side, you were able to skip and go right to your elbows, you still want to take it in levels, right? So for me, it's hip flexor first, and then I'm dropping hands towards the ground, making sure everything feels okay, and then maybe bending the elbows, dropping elbows a little bit. Same thing, breathing into that hip. So again, stretching the hips, stretching the legs, really gonna take a lot of tension off that low back. So if you're somebody that suffers from low back pain, chronic low back pain, or maybe even like an acute injury, most of the time I would tell you to stretch your legs, right? Not to get too much motion out of that spine, especially if you're dealing with a current injury. All right, moving on to Pigeon. So that was a lot of hips. Now a lot of hip flexor. Now we're gonna move on to the back of the leg a little bit. So really, however you can get there. A lot of people will start from a high plank and kind of swing the leg through. You can start here and kind of adjust the foot, but you want knee and ankle to both be on the ground. Again, there's levels to this thing, right? So level 1 would be to try to get that straight leg further away from you, like Lindsey's got over there, or try to get that hip closer to the ground. You could also, again, add a block to try to relax into it. And then if you feel ready, you can try to drop those elbows towards the ground. Again, all of these stretches really are more passive kind of holds, right? So like I mentioned, for me, this is time to set affirmations, goals for the day. But if this is end of the night, sometimes I'll do these kind of off the side of my couch, and I'm watching TV with my wife. I'm kind of still involved a little bit, but at the same time, taking care of the body. All right, we'll go ahead and switch sides. So again, same thing. We're checking levels, right? You're swinging that leg through. Start here if you need to. Hold it, again, just make sure you're ready. It's not gonna like cramp up on you or anything, and then you're dropping hands. Again, straight leg further away from you. You can kind of use those toes to crawl that leg further away. And then if and when you feel ready, dropping down to those elbows. Breathing into that hip. Again, trying to relax as much as you can. Same thing, roughly 20, 30 seconds. We're just gonna roll through each of these once, right? So if you wanted to make it a shorter hold, like maybe 15, 20 seconds, more of a cycle through, you could do 2 to 3 rounds. We're gonna face left, right? Okay. All right, next one, we're going into a figure 4. So we're gonna go ahead and face the side. So you're setting up on your back, your foot is flat first, you're crossing the leg over, and then you reach through your back, grabbing the back of your leg. So you could keep that leg straight and get a little bit more of hamstring on this side. We're looking to get glute on the other side, right? So I'm gonna allow that knee to bend a little bit, which might allow a little more range of motion. And then you also wanna try to relax the upper body here, right? I see a lot of people do this one and they end up all crunched forward because they're tight, and you're gonna end up hurting your neck, right? So you're trying to relax as much as you can, drive that leg in. At the same time, you could drive, like you're not doing it with your hand, but you're thinking about pushing that knee out to, again, make that letter, 4 is a number, to make that number 4. All right, we'll go ahead and switch sides, drop that foot back to the ground, maybe a little shakeout if it was tight. Again, crossing the other leg over. Same thing, reach through, pull that leg up towards your chest, driving that knee towards the ground. Again, breathing into that hip. Trying to, again, center yourself. It's gonna be a great Monday. Hopefully you had a great weekend. Great way to start your day with us. To get a little stretch, give yourself a little love, right? We work hard all of the time. We need to make sure that we're recovering just as hard as you're working, right? You're taking as much time, as much focus on your recovery as you are on your workout routine. All right, go ahead and drop that one. We got just 2 more and then a recovery. So this one's tough for me. We were practicing before we started and it's hard. So low lunge, right? That's this position. We're lunging forward, but what you're trying to get, let's actually go ahead and face the side so they can see what we're trying to get, right? So we're trying to get this foot up. You can reach across and you're trying to get this quad, right? So you're sitting up tall. You're trying to pull that foot, that heel up towards your butt, right? So you might get a little bit of hip flexor, right? But that's where the quad attaches. But just like if we were standing and you're pulling your foot up towards your butt, you're stretching out more of the front of the leg. Balance might become an issue. Okay. And we'll go ahead then switch sides. Again, setting up in that hip flexor stretch position first, reaching up for that toe, chest up tall, pulling that foot up towards your butt. And we got just one more. We're gonna finish in child's pose. So hands are out in front of you, rocking your hips straight back. Hopefully those hip flexors are nice and loose. You're reaching your arms out in front, lengthening out that spine. Again, knowing that this is the last one, making sure that we're fully setting the intention for the day, whatever that's going to be, as we give the body some love and we started our day with a great stretch. You have a great week. That's it, guys. We'll go ahead and sit back up. Again, like we went through a minute of each for most of them, 30 seconds on each side, so 10 minutes total. You could shorten this up and do a couple rounds, or if you wanted to extend this out, maybe make this a 20, 30-minute routine, you could always go through all of that again. Thank you guys so much for starting your day with us. Have a great rest of your Monday. Have a good day.